when we say our clinic's a family or our profession's a family, and everybody, it's like a little cliche and a little, maybe don't say that now. This is where we're family in veterinary medicine. This is where we pull together for the greater good, the pets and the people.
Hey, VetFolio Voice family. Welcome to this episode where I had the opportunity to sit down with registered veterinary technician Becky Mosser and talk about something truly heartwarming, the Veterinary Industry Giving Tree. So back in 2020, which was a tough year for all of us, Becky started the Veterinary Industry Giving Tree and in a very short time was able to raise funds and spread joy to almost 40 families during the holiday season. Since then, this organization has continued to grow and offer holiday joy and relief to many more families. Personally, I learned about the tree earlier this year, and if I can offer some friendly advice, there's a video on the homepage of the website. The website is veterinarygivingtree.com, by the way. So if you type that in, go to the website, scroll down, you'll see the video that started it all. And here's where my friendly advice comes in. I recommend watching that video at home or someplace where you're very comfortable, where you can maybe take a few moments to yourself after watching it. I know I was very thankful that I was at home on my couch because there was definitely some ugly crying that took place after watching us. It really paints the picture behind the inspiration for why Becky and the team at the Veterinary Giving Tree do what they do. Anyhow, after learning more about the Veterinary Giving Tree here, I hope everyone listening heads over to the website, watch the video when you're at home and you can have a few moments to yourself, and check out more about this amazing project. No one can do a better job describing this incredible initiative than Becky herself, so let me go ahead and introduce her and you can learn more about it in her own words. Becky Mosser is a highly experienced registered veterinary technician with a background in veterinary technology, education, project management, and podcasting. Becky currently serves as the practice management coordinator at Appalachian State University, overseeing the veterinary technology BA program. And of course, at the time of our recording here, our hearts go out to all of those at Appalachian State and in the Carolinas who have been severely affected by Hurricane Helene. We talk about that a little bit here in this episode and how that's going to influence some of the donations at the Veterinary Industry Giving Tree this year, so make sure to listen for that. Becky is also involved in various roles such as practice coach at Veterinary Mastery, founder of the Veterinary Industry Giving Tree, of course, and project management/consultant at Veterinary Advancements. With a master's degree in public administration and a strong focus on education and public service, Becky brings a wealth of knowledge and expertise to her roles in the veterinary industry. All right, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into our episode.
Nutrition is the cornerstone of our patients' health and happiness. The veterinary healthcare team should be the ultimate source for top-notch pet nutrition info. When clients see how the right diet helps their pets stay healthy and happy, they visit us more often. Remember, good nutrition is essential. It's smart business and great medicine. Enroll in the NAVC Pet Nutrition Coach certification today on vetfolio.com.
I'm excited for this episode. I'm joined by Becky Mosser, and oh my goodness, I'm just so excited to talk about the Veterinary Industry Giving Tree. This is such an important nonprofit movement that you have put together, and thank you so much for joining me to tell us more about it.
Oh my gosh, thank you for having me. It's my honor, and I'm always excited to talk about the Giving Tree. It really is. It's like my baby. And so, thanks for having me and have an excuse to brag.
Yes, and you have so much to brag about. I first heard about this several months ago. Someone sent me some information on it, and there was a video. And from what I understand it, the video was from the Boys and Girls Club, and it was kind of the inspiration behind the Veterinary Industry Giving Tree. And I was so glad I watched that video at home because I was ugly crying. It was so moving. I'll let you talk a little bit more about it. You'll explain it better than I will, but oh my gosh, it definitely moved me to tears.
Yeah, I mean, it moved me to nonprofit. It's like an incredibly moving video. It's posted on our website, the veterinarygivingtree.com, and it's these boys and girls who are given the opportunity to choose between their dream present or a dream present for their parents. Now, like, I'm assuming they cut out the kids who picked their own present and really kind of made this video what it is. But all the kids in the video chose the present for their parents and mostly moms, And when they asked why, they just really talked about how important family is and how their moms or their parents are always giving to them and how they, want to give back. And it just really made me think about how inherently we do want to give. We're incredibly philanthropic clearly from a young age, right? Like even as young people, we understand the value, even the emotional and mental high of giving, right? Like you have literal chemical releases when you give that make you feel good. It made me just think like we could do this in our industry and have a way of giving back, and it was the catalyst.
And I can see why. Like I said, it moved me to tears seeing that generosity. And I love how you put that. It moved you to nonprofit. So tell us about what that looked like. What is the Veterinary Giving Tree?
The veterinary giving tree is sort of the idea if you think of like an angel tree that you see at Christmas. A lot of times they're in banks or in churches, and even like some employers do this where they kind of adopt families and kids in the community, and people pull a little angel and then they buy Christmas for that family or that child or whatever it is. And so it's our own little version of that. And so throughout the year, we take nominations and donations for our winter holiday season giving. And so what that looks like is every winter holiday season, right around the first week of December, we provide a monetary gift to the nominees who are selected. And so far, we've been able to give a little something to everyone who's ever been nominated with us right at the winter holidays, where we just really believe that that's a time of year that our profession is taking an extra hit, right? Like we know emotionally everybody kind of dreads the holidays, and we always kind of morbidly laugh, I guess, about how, the trauma that we go through. When we started it, it was COVID. So it was like in a profession where things are already hard and it's the holidays, like now we've got joblessness. We've got people working like crazy. We've got people sick. We've got people caring for their loved ones. We've got people out of work because they're compromised. And it just felt like the right time to find a way to help people. And that's how we did it. And everyone just got on board. Like it was so validating because people were so excited to have a place to give to their own community. And so after year one, we really saw and knew that this needed to happen, and we made it formal.
I think you're absolutely right. That ability to give within your own community, that can be one of the struggles when you're trying to give is where do I give? Where is it needed? Is the money that I give going to make it to the people that I'm trying to get the money to, or whatever the donation may be? And so I think you just open the door to this great opportunity to say, here is a community of people who needs this because we know that these are our colleagues and our friends, and so to provide that platform I guess just like a trusted resource to say here's where you can give and really make a difference.
Yeah, I mean, when we think about veterinary nonprofits, they're mostly geared toward helping animals, which is important and it's wonderful. There are very few that really focus on the individuals in our profession. And it just made me really excited to have an opportunity to do that. And like I said, it was validating. People said thank you. They wanted to give. And so yeah, all of our donations stay within the veterinary profession. So that can be front desk, CSRs, it can be technicians, assistants, kennel staff, management. If they touch the veterinary profession, they're eligible for giving because they give for a living. Like everybody that touches our profession, they give. And life happens. Life happens while you're giving all day, every day. I don't know, we look around us and even know the struggles that even our own colleagues are going through.
I think that's such a good point. And I'd love it if you could speak to that a little bit more. Just what your experience has been since starting the veterinary giving tree, some of the stories that you've heard, the lives you've been able to impact. I had no idea that you'd been able to reach out to every single nominee to this point. That's amazing. And so what are some of the, I guess those stories, those individuals or families that really stick with you?
Yeah. There's a couple, it's funny because I receive the emails first and I'm usually the first one to read through them and just take one little step in the life of these individuals as I read what they're going through. And so one that really kind of has always stood out to me and has carried through the years was our very first year. It was a recipient who was a veterinary technician who was going through chemotherapy. It was during COVID. And so during COVID, they had to quarantine in a hotel before chemotherapy and after chemotherapy. And guess what? Insurance doesn't cover, which is like hotel stays, the travel, and all of that. And so this individual received their gift and then they posted actually to our Facebook group a picture of a basket full of groceries. And they said that their grocery bill was $11 before they got our money. And I was thinking to myself how when you're going through cancer and you're immune compromised, you need vegetables and fresh fruits. And if you have an $11 grocery budget, you're not buying anything that's healthy or fresh or good for you. I really can't imagine. And she got this money and she had a basket full of like healthy groceries. She's always been one that really just stuck with me throughout the years. We have a recipient who has a child with a congenital birth defect and was getting to a point in their life where they were having to choose between time off to be with their child to recover, but was out of PTO. And so was going to have to choose between work and being with their child. And, that job is incredibly important at that time, but so is being with your child, and having to choose between the two it just doesn't feel fair. We've had recipients who are adopting children who have given their entire life savings to try to adopt children out of a bad situation. And then we have recipients who write us and just say, like, I want to breathe. Like, I literally just want to be able to pay my bills and not have to choose between lights and insurance. I need a new set of tires so I can go to work because I'm getting scared I'm going to not be able to get to work safely because I just need new tires. And $400 for a set of tires, like that's a lot of people's paycheck for a week. And that you can't just come up with that. So we hear the whole gambit of stories, but I mean, it's people who are caring for sick families in so many cases. And it's people who are fighting diseases themselves and still showing up to work every day. But those are some of the ones that stand out to me the most that I carry through from year to year, because they truly remind me of the reason why we do this.
And also, what I'm hearing when you are telling these stories is not only have you provided this trusted platform where people can give, it sounds like you've also provided a platform for people to really share what they're going through. Like you said, you never know what the people who you're working with, you're interacting with on a daily basis are going through. And, of course, I think to myself, like, well, I'm sure if you tell the people you're working with that, people will want to help and do what they can, but that could be hard to share with people who you have to work with day in and day out. Maybe that's not the type of relationship you have or you want to have with your coworkers in that environment. And so it sounds like you've also created this beautiful platform for people to share their struggles safely and get the help that they need.
I hope so. I hope so. You can nominate anonymously somebody else or yourself. And I mean, obviously I know your name because I've got to mail you a check, but other than that, no one will ever know. And so, yeah, they've been able to open up to me. And I think you make a really good point to think about, because yeah, a lot of times we want to help our colleagues, but like, we're all getting paid the same. What difference can I make in their life? And it's holidays for me too. It's a hard economy for me too.
Mm-hmm.
Where can I come up with anything that's going to be meaningful? The second thing about it is this stuff is ongoing. Like you think about an acute sickness, somebody's kid gets COVID or they were sick and they were in the hospital for a month, or, somebody gets in a car accident or albeit a motorcycle accident. And you have this immediate show up, right? You have the people who pop in right there, right then. But like 10 months later, who's there? your work can't continue to carry you or donate or pay your bill 10 months through. So then they're starting to look for resources to help you because they are no longer it, And so I think that's the other thing is that so much of it's ongoing to where it's like, yeah, I had a lot of help when I got a cancer diagnosis or when my kid got diagnosed, but now it's a year or two later. What am I supposed to do? Just bang that drum again and again and again. And, we have a hard time even taking our days off, let alone being out of work to like care for ourselves. So we'll never do that. You know what I mean? So the guilt that goes with caretaking, the exhaustion that goes with caretaking. And I think that's the other part of this, right? Is being seen. So sometimes the biggest thing you can do to help your colleague is say, I see you. I see your family. I see your struggle. I can't fix it, but like I can lean into a resource that is out there for a reason to make your holiday better. And I can tell your story and they don't even have to know you told me kind of thing, people see you and we're going to help you and we're a team. And I hear that from recipients who write thank you cards and respond and say, it just meant a lot to feel seen as I'm going through this.
That makes a lot of sense to think about a year later and 2 years later that, things don't always just resolve themselves. A new tires might, but, a child with an ongoing, medical condition or, like, gosh, and yes, being those giving personalities that characterize so much of our industry. I feel like you're gonna hear my voice crack here in a minute because I'm getting like so emotional over this.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I can only imagine like what it's like for you reading these and being in the middle of this, like so much emotion. Certainly being these giving personalities that we have in the industry, we're gonna take time as much as we can for a child, for a spouse, but maybe not if it's us as the individual
Right.
who are experiencing something. So I could see, especially in those cases, just really needing to be seen, to be heard, to be acknowledged.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny because I would say 90% of self-nominations start with, I'm so embarrassed. I'm so like no one's ever like, I'm so excited to write you this letter,
Right.
and to tell you how terrible my life is right now. It's like there's so much shame that goes along with not thriving, for whatever reason. And not no one, but we are not good at asking for help, not for
No.
ourselves. I'm so proud of the people who kind of get over that lump in their throat and the imposter syndrome and everything else that it takes to do that. I'm so proud of them because asking for help is the hardest thing, but it's worth it. It's worth it because we see you, and it's worth it because people want to help you. And just know that like maybe you don't see them, but as much as I read the letters of people who need it, I read the people who are grateful to give it. So you're doing people a service by reaching out when you need it because that's what they want to do is help.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's talk about the people who are giving a little
Yeah.
bit. What do you hear from donors?
Thank you. It's so amazing. Thank you. And along those lines, it's this is such a great idea. And that's the meaningful part. So like year one, I launched this thing like in October. I told my husband, I literally came out of my office and I was like, we may or may not be buying Christmas for like 30 people this year because we started this thing and people need it and I'm getting nominations and now I'm scared. And what happened was I didn't want people's cash, right? Because I wasn't official and I was a little scared of that. And so we started with Amazon gift cards, Visa gift cards, that type of thing. And $7,000 worth of donations showed up in 6 weeks.
Oh my gosh.
And they were $5, $100. You know what I mean? Like and that's the other thing I think too is like as a donor, some people feel like they want to help, but they don't have a significant, your $5 along with five other people's $5 along with 10 other people's $5, it really adds up. And so even every little bit counts. So people were like, this is such a great idea. Thank you for doing this. And that's what validated it. That's what kept me going. And then we had corporate organizations, high level organizations see us. Catherine Haskins with the Bridge Club has been an incredible cheerleader for us from day one and helped us put on give back benefits 2 years in a row, along with Chewy Animal Health, Verbac, and VetCetera. And VetCetera continues to support us as well, as this give back benefit has also grown and will help other nonprofits. And so from this tree, as trees do, we've grown branches, and we've brought light to some of the other nonprofits in the industry, which I think is really important. But Catherine really was the catalyst behind that. She's been incredibly amazing. Flourish Veterinary Consulting is another one. Josh Weisman, who from year one immediately was like, this is brilliant. And how do we support you? And, Liz Houston, vet tech expert, she's been another one. I've had a handful of people who just showed up from year one and just really supported it. And recently we received a really meaningful award. When these things happen, my heart just explodes because I know we're going to be able to help more people. I know that more exposure is going to happen. And so these organizations that see us, what I said to my husband last night is I said, this is my version of the people who get checks. I feel like they feel when somebody calls me and says, I see you. And because I see you, here's this gift. And I said, it's a joy because I get to feel the same joy I think that the people who are recipients get to feel, but in a different way. And that just means the world to me. It's so meaningful.
You're putting your time, your effort, your emotion behind something that is meaningful and is impactful, and then you're getting to see the results right there in front of you in the form of the nominations, of the donations, of the thank you letters, and all of this.
Yeah, I quote unquote feel selfishly like it's a gift for me. My favorite day of the year is writing these checks. And a lot of people know I was in a really bad motorcycle accident last November, and I was in the hospital for 3 weeks. I got out November 30th, and these checks always go out the first week of December. And so even when I was in the hospital, I was working through nominations, working through donations, and I was able to, albeit from a wheelchair, get these checks written. And it was a time that like I had very little joy in my life. I was looking at a very bleak Christmas. And this like the day of the year I get to be Santa Claus. Christmas movies go on or Christmas music goes on. Surely I'm in some kind of ridiculous fuzzy pajamas that are Christmas themed. And then I write these checks that I know are going to surprise people, that I know are going to bring joy, that I know are going to take stress away from someone in our industry who's giving every day. It is the best day of the year for me. And when we do these giving events, it's so meaningful to me that again, I feel like I win just by being able to be a part of this.
Spoken like a true veterinary professional, like
That's right.
Spreading the benefit to those around you and getting so much joy from that. And then recently you have found even another way to give back with Project Golden Vet. Tell us about Project Golden Vet.
So Sarah Parsons, if you guys don't know her, she is the handle what really happens at the vet. And she makes these adorable videos that are really uplifting and fun. And she actually came to the Give Back benefit at Western last year and was like, I'm so in, I want to be involved. And so she and I got talking, and she has this thing called Project Golden Vet that she had done in the past that had kind of faded out. What I should say is we had an opportunity for a great partnership, having a nonprofit whose mission is to spread joy, and Project Golden Vet, whose mission is to bring some acknowledgement to a hospital that is just doing great things and is joyful and happy and loves veterinary medicine. So for National Veterinary Technician Week, which is the third week of October, so coming up really quickly, we had over 245 nominations for Project Golden Vet, and somehow we narrowed it down and we have one winning clinic. And Sarah's going to unveil that clinic, and we're going to treat them to a really great day of fun. So we have some sponsorship. NAFTA is supporting, first and foremost, really supporting a lot of this Project Golden Vet so that we can make it a really fun day. We also have I know that their IADEX rep is going to be helping. We have a lot of Beringer Ingelheim reps who are helping with other runner-up clinics. And so we're going to just launch this really fun Vet Tech Week to make sure as many clinics as we possibly can get a little acknowledgement and fun. But one is going to have a big day, a really big day. And we can't wait to unveil that surprise. So Sarah's been a ton of fun to work with. And Project Golden Vet has really, I think, supports our mission and has been a great partnership that we look forward to continuing.
That's awesome. I can't wait to see who the clinic is and all the joy you get to spread that day.
Yeah, I can't wait. It's going to be a lot of fun. I mean, love Vet Tech Week as it is, but getting to celebrate a clinic and really show them they're being seen. It just means so much to so many folks. And I think being seen within your own profession means a lot. Like clients
Yeah.
tell us all the time, oh, but being seen with among our colleagues, I think just carries a different kind of meaning for us.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Somebody who really understands what it takes to accomplish and do the things that you're doing.
that's right. That's right. I'm so excited. So more to come on that. Follow Sarah for those videos because it's gonna be a lot of fun. She's a lot of fun. She's a ball of energy, and we're gonna make some vet techs feel really great vet tech week. And I hope a lot of folks out there are planning some fun things for their staff.
Absolutely. That's awesome. Oh, I can't wait to see that one. Listening to you talk about how, like you said, you came up with this idea in October of year one, and you managed to very quickly raise a substantial amount of funds and be successful even just in the first year. And now it's continuing to evolve into just this beautiful program that's benefiting so many people. I think that's really inspiring to say I had this idea and I went with it and it was as beautiful as I pictured it or more so. What would you say to other people who maybe have an idea that they like to run with, but there's always that trepidation, that self-doubt that, what if it doesn't work out?
So, I mean, really, it's for me, what's the worst that could happen? Now, if you ask my husband that, he has a list of like 47 things, right?
Mine
He
too.
will think of what is the worst that can happen. I'm all like, let's try it. I guess what I want to say is if you have an idea, like do it, just try it, run it by some people. Lily Preston and Crystal Figuera are my partners in crime in the Giving Tree. And when I posted this video of the boys coming full circle, right? The Boys and Girl Scouts video, I said something along the lines of we need to start some kind of giving tree or angel tree in the profession. And they were like, that sounds great. And I was like, well, now you're doing it with me. So find some folks who think it's a good idea, run it by some people you trust. If you get that positive feedback, try it. Failing is not failing. Failing's learning, right? If I had done this and there was no need, well, what a joy that would be, right? I would love to be put out of business because our profession is thriving and no one needs anything and everyone's doing great and feels seen, right? I don't know that day will ever come, but like that would be great, but it's not the case. And so when you get that feedback and you will naturally get it when you have a good idea, when it is hitting home, it goes. Like I didn't have to work hard to make this happen. I didn't have to convince people this was a good idea. And it ran. And if you think it's a good idea and you have a passion for it's meaningful to you, at least you can say you tried. I'll go down saying I tried. And then it is so worth it. Even if it is a little bit of hard work, or even if you have some fear or some doubt, like nothing good ever comes from anything that doesn't involve a little fear and a little doubt. So if you want big things, you got to make big leaps, and I'm lucky that I am, like I said to you, a leap before I looker. But I also, what do they say? If you're going to be dumb, you got to be tough. I guess that's the other side of it too, is that I figure if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but try it. Just try it. Because again, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And you learn from that. And the next time you'll have something even better. But when it does, it's worth every bit of stress or lost sleep or worry that you have.
I think that is such a good message. One of my favorite, I don't know if it's a quote or if it's just like a saying, like something people say that, nothing worth doing is easy. And I don't know if
Yeah.
that's totally true when it comes to nothing, but, I tell myself that a lot when I'm like, oh, this honestly, like this sucks. I'm tired. Like, and I don't know if I want to do this and this is scary. And like you said, stress, loss, sleep, whatever it is. A lot of times I'll come back to that in my own head and say, if very few things that are worth doing are easy. So hopefully this is an indication that whatever I'm doing here is worth doing.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it is. I mean, because again, I love it. So I worry and I network and I talk about it. It's totally worth any footwork I put in. But, speaking of Josh Weisman, I was talking to him this week and, he said sometimes, like, even when it's a lot of work, when you love it, it doesn't really pour from your cup, it fills it. So even it's kind of a reverse methodology because it is work and it is quote unquote output, but the reward is so much more than
Hmm.
what you put out that it's not a negative thing. It's not something that takes from my energy. It feeds my energy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, you get to see kind of the fruits of your labor come together. And of course, in this case, not only does everything come together, but then just the entire industry is so much better off because of it. And I just, yeah, I can only imagine that day that you get to write all those checks and how much happiness and joy there is. And yes, I would be very disappointed if you weren't writing those checks in Christmas jammies.
Yeah, right. I mean, like, what else should I mean, how else do you write literal Christmas gifts, surprises? It is a literal, it is the best. It is the best day of my year. And it needs to be done. So trust me, the atmosphere is everything it needs to be. I'm sure the checks like smell like cinnamon or like sugar cookies or
That's even
something by the
better.
time I get them to people, because I'm just like, it's the season for giving, and so what a treat, what a fun day for me. I'll take some pictures this year and send them.
Yes, yes, absolutely do that. I'm also thinking to myself, like, okay, you get this unexpected check that is going to provide relief for whatever you're going through. And, all of the positivity that comes along with that. And it smells like sugar cookies. Oh my gosh, like even better.
What more do you need? And and that's the thing, is that a lot of times after those checks get received, we get messages through the Facebook, or we get thank you cards. So in addition to like hearing their stories on the front end and being able to know we're providing a little relief, sometimes I get that follow-up of hearing exactly what they did with the money, or exactly what
Ah,
it meant to them as a person. And so while I may never meet these people in person, they're a part of my heart, they're a part of my life. And I hope that we get to be a part of theirs going forward forever too. And they remember that kindness, because they'll pay it forward. Our profession, they'll pay it forward 100-fold. So it's fun to get to hear how meaningful it is to them too. So I kind of get the whole circle. And then, like I said, they're just part of me. They're a part of me forever.
and I think you bring up a really important part, definitely of our profession. I think probably of more humans than we, as I don't know, as a species, give ourselves credit for, but certainly of our profession. There could be a lot of negativity in the world, but certainly around our profession. When we think of high suicide rates and compassion fatigue and all of these things, what you're doing here shows all the good things, just the very best of people's humanity and what they're willing to do for each other.
Yeah, it's funny because there is so much more good than bad, but like it's kind of like bad juju to talk about the good things you do, right? It's like not, it's frowned upon. So if you do good deeds, you shouldn't be bragging about them or telling people or whatever. So I think a lot of times we do good things and nobody really knows, or we don't tell them, but like heaven forbid you do something negative, or heaven forbid something bad happen, it's everywhere. So the bad just is more clickbait end of day, but there's so much good in our profession on a daily basis. So being able to find a way to highlight that, and to, we always thank our donors on Facebook by name. And I let everybody know that they donated, because it's important that, we're out here giving, but we so often do it kind of under wraps. And I think right now, given this recent storm, we are seeing what happens when really bad things happen and the best comes out in people. And I'm seeing that in our profession. I see so many clinics who are like loading up trailers with their supplies, their drop points. And so it's kind of an important point I want to make for this year, because we are prioritizing nominees who were affected by the storms. So Western North Carolina, Eastern Tennessee. We're going to take nominations from everyone, as we always do, but we'll be prioritizing financially the folks who were affected by the storm. And I think that's our way of showing up and showing that we are here to support our community when these types of tragedies happen. And this is a big one.
Yeah, as we're sitting here chatting, my virtual background here is a picture of Swanee, Florida, that I actually just heard from some of the folks down there just yesterday. Something similar happened last year as well, but hearing how much worse it is. And this was certainly where it hit, but Carolinas took a completely different hit than what we got here in Florida. I am in an area where the storm came through. I wasn't impacted nearly in the way that so many other folks were, and how powerful it was. I think that's huge, prioritizing storm victims, because what so many people are going through right now, it's unbelievable.
So I teach for Appalachian State out of Boone, North Carolina, and our campus is affected. So feels real personal. I live in North Carolina. I grew up here. I have a lot of really happy memories in those mountains in Eastern Tennessee. And so it's really heartbreaking to see. And yet again, through all of the bad, we've got people showing up and people going to work despite losing their homes and showing up to take care of animals. We've got people taking in fosters as rescues despite their own lack of power. Or we just have the best people in our community who pull together, and for there being so much toxicity and bullying and all this nasty stuff we talk about, man, can we pull together when the time comes and we need to? And I think when we say our clinic's a family or our profession's a family, and everybody, it's like a little cliche and a little, maybe don't say that now. This is where we're family in veterinary medicine. This is where we pull together for the greater good, the pets and the people. So there's so many affected people. And yeah, I guess I shouldn't be so geographicist. If you were affected by the storms in any way in any state, we want to be sure we're prioritizing you. The thing about the mountains right now and what they went through is none of those folks have flood insurance. Like I live at the coast of North Carolina where floods happen, and we know floods happen and hurricanes happen and tornadoes happen, and we have wind and hail and flood and all the things to put our houses back together. They don't have those things because mountains don't flood, and then the loss of infrastructure. I think about how many hurricanes we've been through, right? You're in Florida. We've been through so many.
Oh, yeah.
Things are staged ahead of time. People are ready. We have so much notice. No one was ready. So getting them the resources, there's been a delay, and they're carrying each other through this. And so we really want them to know they're supported. We want them to still have a happy holiday season while they pick up the pieces the best that they can. Again, we will entertain all of our nominations that we can, but we really want to speak to the folks who are affected and make sure that they know that there's a place to come for help.
Absolutely. And I think we could sit here and talk about the storm for so long because, just seeing how it is affecting people. But yeah, we similar here in Florida, like floods happen, hurricanes happen, where we know that this happens, and that does not minimize some of the devastation that happened off the west coast of Florida. But never have we seen a hurricane do something like it did with this one. And so, yeah, our hearts out to everybody who is struggling. And you're absolutely right. It is amazing. Like the way people are showing up for each other, showing up for animals, and really pulling together with something like this.
Yeah. And I certainly don't want to encourage toxic positivity, right? Like, I don't want to pretend that we're going to paint everything back to rosy. We know that we're not fixing problems. I know I can't buy you a new car. I know I can't pay off your house. It's little, it's small, but sometimes those ripples are really big. Again, like I don't want to be toxically positive and think, when people have lost their houses, but man, every little bit counts, I believe. I hope, because that's what we want to do. We want to be a little bit of something that just helps in a really hard time.
You have just such a fantastic outlook on all of this of, we're here to do what we can, and we know it's not going to make everything perfect, but man, if we can just inject a little bit of positive into whatever is going on.
Yeah, I think it's important to be realistic about that, right? And to know, like, I was an angel tree kid. That's part of why this is so meaningful. And I remember what it felt like. And I think back about how hard my mom worked. And I just think about my colleagues who are working so hard, and a little bit does count, and there was a time in my life that, with true paycheck to paycheck, and I think a lot of our veterinary professionals are there. And so a little bit is a lot in this profession for a lot of us, I think, and again, that's whether you're donating a little or you're receiving it, or, every little bit counts. And sometimes, as cliche it is the thought that counts. Like they know I can't replace their house, but man, just the thought of knowing that people are out there, it means the world to them.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. And of course, we need to get the information out there of how people get involved. How do people donate? How do people nominate? How do people find you?
Right. So you guys can go to our website. So veterinarygivingtree.com. That's the number one place because all of the links to donate are there. And also the links to nominate are on that webpage. So veterinarygivingtree.com. We have a Facebook page and a Facebook group where we do a very small amount of announcing, but it gets busy around this time of year. So make sure you check us out in those places, because that's where you'll get the most information. We are on Instagram as well. So you can, look at cute pictures and be reminded to donate there. Probably a QR code or something, but the real action happens on our website. So check that out. And then again, keep in mind, keep an eye out for Project Golden Vet and that amazing NAFTA sponsorship that we had is going to bring us so much fun that week. So make sure you're following Sarah at What Really Happens at the Vet, because there's going to be some more information there.
Fantastic. Fantastic. I think that gives everybody great resources to reach out and really get involved and help, be a part of that positivity that you're sharing. And Becky, I just want to thank you so much for coming on the podcast and talking about this. I'm so happy to, be one small outlet to help get the word out about what you're doing, because gosh, it's so important and it's so necessary. So thank you so much for joining me. I do want to open it up and say, are there any final thoughts you want to share with everyone?
I think number one, thank you. Thank you so much for giving us this opportunity to get the word out. I want to emphasize to folks that truthfully, nominating is as important as donating. So if you don't have the resources to donate right now, that's totally fine. I can sit on a pile of money. If I don't have nominations of the people who need it, I can't help. So if it's you and you're thinking, man, I need this, but I can't nominate myself, come to me, come to us. Let us help you have a really happy holiday.
That is hugely important. And also going back to what you said earlier in the podcast, that it's $5, but $5 combined with someone else's $5 and someone else's $5 can really do some big things.
It really does. Every little bit counts, and every bit, goes to, getting these actual presents out or shipping, but everything really goes back to our recipients. So I hope you find a place to give that is meaningful to you this holiday season and you want to give. And if it just happens to be within the profession, I hope it's us.
Well, that's like the perfect place to wrap it up right there. So Becky, thank you again for coming on with us and doing this episode.
Thank you so much for having me. And again, I appreciate everything you guys do for our industry and for letting me have this time to talk about the tree.
A big thank you to everyone for tuning in. I hope everyone heads over to the website and gets involved, whether it's through donations or nominations or, whatever feels right. I want to say a huge thank you to Becky for joining me. It's always a pleasure to talk to you, Becky, and such a fantastic initiative that you have going here. I'm so glad we got the opportunity to share more about it. If you enjoyed this podcast, please leave us a 5-star review wherever you get your podcasts. It'll help other veterinary professionals like you find this and other great content we try to put out there, as well as find the Veterinary Giving Tree, hopefully. For more episodes like this, you can click on the Education tab on the VetFolio website. As always, we'd love to hear your input on this talk, as well as ideas for topics you'd like to hear from us in the future. And feel free to reach out to me at dvm@vetfolio.com. You can also visit my Facebook page at Dr. Cassie DVM, and you can find me on LinkedIn. And remember, if one animal is better off because of you today, it's a great day.